History is full of bad guys. A conqueror shows up, smashes your city, and tears everything down. It's that simple. But what if I told you about a conqueror who did the exact opposite? A king who showed up, and instead of destroying everything, he started rebuilding it. A king who, despite leading a foreign army, wasn't seen as an enemy by the people he conquered. He was seen as a savior. This is the insane story of a Persian emperor who freed an entire captive nation and even paid to rebuild their holy temple. In doing so, he earned a title that seems impossible for an outsider: Messiah. He's the only non-Jew in the entire Bible to be called the Messiah. This is the story of Cyrus the Great, and it's absolutely wild. An entire nation has been held captive for 70 years. Their holy city is gone, their temple is a pile of rubble, and they have literally no hope. But their ancient prophecies say a savior is coming, and he's not one of them. He's a foreign king. So how does a Persian emperor, a guy from a totally different religion, get called the Anointed One, a Messiah, in the Bible? We are about to watch an impossible prophecy come true. How are you, dear friends? I am Czar. We uncover the truth from our history. If you are passionate about it, have a look at our series of French, Byzantine, and Persian Empire in playlist. We love your support to improve our service by subscribing, sharing, liking, and especially comments to keep us going and serve you better. Let us go through the Age of Despair, a people in exile, dear fellows. First, you need to understand how bad things were. We're talking absolute rock bottom. It's the 6th century BC, and the world is dominated by the terrifying Neo-Babylonian Empire, ruled by the fearsome king Nebuchadnezzar II. His armies were the most powerful in the world, and he wanted to conquer the small kingdom of Judah. Their capital, Jerusalem, was the heart of their faith, and at its center was Solomon's Temple, a magnificent building they believed was God's actual house on earth. It was the most important building in their entire world. Nebuchadnezzar's conquest was unbelievably brutal. In 597 BC, he surrounded Jerusalem, and as punishment, deported the top 10,000 people. Just gone. But that wasn't enough. A decade later, he came back to finish the job. This time, he starved the city for almost 30 months. When the walls finally fell in 587 BC, he unleashed total destruction. He burned the palace, tore down the walls, and melted the giant gold temple of Solomon to the ground. Then he deported thousands more people. This was the start of the Babylonian captivity. In Babylon, they were exiles. Their captors mocked their faith. Psalm 137 literally says they sat by the rivers of Babylon and just wept. They wondered, has our God abandoned us? Is he weaker than the gods of Babylon? This was an epic crisis of faith. But they had these prophecies. A guy named Jeremiah said that after 70 years God would punish Babylon and bring them home. And an even older prophecy from Isaiah was crazy specific. It said their savior would be a foreigner from the east. It even named him. The prophecy said God's chosen one, his anointed one, would be named Cyrus. For the people crying in Babylon, this sounded insane. They were trapped, and their only hope was a 150-year-old prophecy naming a king who hadn't even been born yet. Little did they know, that king was about to change the world. Dear fellows, he was being called the Liberator. Let us understand it. So while the Jews were in exile, the world was in chaos. The once mighty Babylonian Empire was falling apart. Their new king, Nabonidus, was a weird dude who cared more about ancient history and worshipping the moon god than actually running the empire. The most powerful priests in Babylon hated him for it. And that's when Cyrus steps in. He starts as the ruler of a tiny kingdom, but he was a master strategist. In 550 BC, he rebels against his own grandfather, the king of a much bigger empire. And when he wins, he doesn't kill him. He literally merges their empires together to create the Medo-Persian Empire. An absolute power move. Next, Cyrus targets the richest kingdom in the world, Lydia, ruled by King Croesus. Croesus, nervous about Cyrus, asked the oracle at Delphi if he should attack. The oracle told him a great empire would be destroyed. Confident this meant Cyrus's empire, Croesus attacked. Nope, it was his own empire that was destroyed. Cyrus pulled off one of the most insane military tricks ever. According to the historian Xenophon, Cyrus knew Lydia's cavalry horses were terrified of the smell of camels. So, he put his supply camels in the front line of his army. The Lydian war horses freaked out, their cavalry collapsed, and Cyrus just rolled over them. And again, Cyrus showed mercy, sparing King Croesus and making him a trusted advisor. Now, only one target was left: Babylon. The city was a literal fortress. The walls were massive, and the Euphrates River ran right through it like a giant moat. A direct attack was suicide, but Cyrus didn't play by the rules. He knew the priests inside the city were ready to flip on their king. So, in the fall of 539 BC, while the entire city was inside partying, Cyrus's army was upstream, diverting the entire Euphrates River. The water level dropped so low, his army just walked into the city through the empty riverbed. The great city fell without a sound. And this is where it gets crazy. Instead of a massacre, Cyrus presents himself as a liberator. He went and paid his respects to their god, Marduk, winning over the priests and the people. It was here that Cyrus created an object that would change history: the Cyrus cylinder. For centuries, skeptics said the Bible's story about Cyrus's kindness was fake, arguing no ancient king ever behaved that way. This small clay cylinder, discovered in 1879, proved them all wrong. The text on it is stunning. It says, "I returned to these sacred cities. I also gathered all their former inhabitants and returned to them their habitations." This wasn't just propaganda. It was a state policy of letting conquered people go home, the complete opposite of what other empires did. While it doesn't mention the Jews by name, it's undeniable proof of the policy described in the Bible. The king prophesied by Isaiah was here, and he was about to do something incredible. How the prophecy was fulfilled of Cyrus. Let us break it down, dear fellows. Cyrus is now the ruler of the biggest empire the world had ever seen. He basically rules the world. And in 538 BC, his very first year ruling Babylon, he does exactly what the prophet Isaiah had foretold 150 years earlier. He issues a formal decree, and you can read it in the biblical book of Ezra. It is mind-blowing. It says, "Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem. Whoever is among you of all his people, may his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem and rebuild the house of the Lord, the God of Israel." He wasn't just letting them go home. He was paying for it. The decree stated that the royal treasury would help pay for the new temple. And, in the ultimate power move, he ordered that all the sacred treasures Nebuchadnezzar had stolen from Solomon's temple, thousands of gold and silver items, be returned. For the Jewish people, this was the most epic moment of their lives. The prophecies that kept them going were coming true. Under new leadership, the first wave of over 42,000 people began the long journey home. This kicked off the Second Temple period, a new chapter in Jewish history that would last for nearly 600 years. It's here that we finally understand that incredible title. In Isaiah 45, the Lord calls Cyrus his anointed, which in Hebrew is Mashiach. Today, Messiah means a divine, world-ending Savior. But back then, it just meant one who is anointed, or chosen one. By calling Cyrus his anointed, the prophet was saying that God had hand-picked this non-Jewish king for a sacred mission, to free his people and rebuild his temple. Even though Cyrus worshipped different gods, his actions perfectly fulfilled God's prophesied plan, earning him this unique and sacred title. Cyrus's legacy of tolerance was so legendary that even America's founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson, saw him as the perfect leader. Today, there's literally a replica of the Cyrus cylinder displayed at the United Nations. Cyrus the Great died around 530 BC on the battlefield, and he was buried in a simple tomb in his capital that still stands in modern-day Iran. In the end, Cyrus the Great is one of the most stunning figures in all of history. He was a ruthless conqueror who built a massive empire, yet he ruled with a kindness that was literally centuries ahead of his time. He was a Persian who followed his own gods, yet he became one of the most revered heroes in the Bible. His story shows how one leader's vision can change the world for millions. For the people of ancient Judah, he was more than a king. He was the end of their long nightmare of exile and the dawn of a new day. He was the impossible prophecy made real, the foreign conqueror who, against all odds, became their liberator, forever earning his sacred place as the ancient king they called the Messiah. I am Tsar. Cyrus's story is insane. It's a powerful reminder that mercy can be just as strong as military might. If you found this story as amazing as we do, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you do not want to miss our next dive into history. And let us know in the comments, what other insane historical figure should we investigate next?